Patrick?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. I'll have a short introduction and about well, what we do as the Ministry of Defense in the Netherlands, and that's much more than we do in the Polder2C's. And I have a nice video here at the end, but that's 5 minutes. It's a bit too long, so later on I'll share the link with you, and that's more about what we are doing together with our civil partners in the Netherlands and abroad on water issues. Okay, the Ministry of Defense. Well, in the Netherlands we have three main tasks. That's defending our own territory and that of all related countries in the NATO. To protect and promote the international rule of law and to support the government. The things we are doing in the Hedwige-Prosperpolder and the Polder2C's project are related to the third main
Marc?
in this.
Marc?
Yes?
May I please, I can only see a striped black bluish screen. I don't know if that's the same for the others.
Yeah, same here.
Same.
Only see, what do you only see?
Same to me.
Yeah,
I
some
think
things
the
striped,
privacy
but-
protection thing. Because it's being recorded, maybe it's privacy something.
We're going to share again. Maybe. Do you see now?
Yeah, this is good. Yeah,
I'll.
thank you.
That was, I clicked on to optimize for videos, but that's not the thing. Okay. But well, as I thought, three main tasks, and well, to support the government, that's the tasks we're working on in the Polder2C's project. Well, what we have is a lot of people. About 70,000 people are working within the Ministry of Defense, mostly military people and some civilians and reserve officers. Well, me myself, I'm a reserve officer, and Alexander is one of the civil people who is working from NLDA and the Ministry of Defense. A lot of tasks. Well, I think you all know them: Marine, Army, Air Force. And well, this is how the Army is organized. And
we still see only slide number 1. We don't have it in presentation mode.
I have it in what's going on. I have it in presentation mode. Is that also for the other ones?
Do
Yes,
you have two screens on
No.
your? No.
Only one.
now I see slide 4, but
Yeah,
Now
slide
you see
4 for me
slide 4.
too.
Yeah. And when I skip to that other one, do you see this one now?
Slide 4.
I think
Strange thing.
Slide 5.
Yeah, now I do it in another mode that you can see it. We'll go till 8. So one back. This is how the Army is organized. The different brigades, and they are supported by operational commanders and logistic facilities. We are organized regional. That's the next slide. So we have a brigade in the south, which is based in Oorschot. We have a brigade in the Midwest, which is stated in Arnhem, and in the northern mid part that is located in Dar. And as you see, what I always said, well, we have the Dutch Corps of Engineers, and you don't see them in this situation back. And that is that we are separated over these three brigades. So we have the regiment of the Dutch Corps of Engineers, but we are divided over several, over the whole country to support there. What we do in the Polder2C's project is in the third task and providing assistance in the case of events and disasters. And that's because we have, of course, military material, as for instance, the pontons, and we have unique expertise. For instance, the demolition expertise we use in the Polder2C, and we are supporting the governmental authorities in different situations, also with a pandemic, forest fire, and floods, of course. The things we do with flooding are based at the knowledge center of the engineers, which is based in Vught. And we work together with our civil partners in the Water Risk Training Expertise Center, which is a cooperation in which we share knowledge, we practice, and we're building on the network to be prepared in case there is an emergency or water crisis going on. The way how we work together is very nice supported and showed in an infographic we have. It's a nice graphic, and I would suggest you take the time to have a look at it. It's only 5-6 minutes, but I think it's better to do that for your own, and then I can give the floor to Alexander, who's going to tell more about the position of the NLDA and their work, and also have some results on what we've did in the polder already.
Thank you, Marc. You have to unshare the screen.
Yeah, I did.
And I hope that everyone can hear me, hear my voice, and see my screen. If I enlarge this, is my first slide visible to the audience?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And if I change slide, is that still visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
You're
Well,
doing
thank
better,
you,
Alexander.
Thank you for having us here. I'm Alexander Schmets. Maybe you have seen me sometimes. I've almost slept every day the first few months of this year in the polder. We have been very active there and we enjoyed it greatly. And left of this primary first slide, you see a picture of us making an artificial breach that we wanted later to stop. I tell you our contributions, who we are. It's a Netherlands Defense Academy. It's comparable to Cranfield University in England or West Point in the US. We train actually future officers and army leaders. We are a university, and we have 3 main directions: war studies, that are the people that are now often on the Dutch television talking about the Ukraine war, about strategies, about all kind of typically military things. We have military logistics and management, which is in Breda, and military technology, which goes from group theory and mathematics to radar technology and whatever you can think of. It's a small TU Delft, you can say, and we are located in Den Helder and Breda. And I myself, I'm working in this military technology field in the section of military engineering. So we are a very small faculty of, we call it faculty in Netherlands, a department of civil engineering, consisting of 5 people only. So we train future officers, we do research, we give lectures, and we cooperate in research projects like this one. And we want our future officers to have to become a warrior, a manager, and a diplomat at the same time. And we do that by having 3 pillars under our education. And I see which is there's military training. There is training of the leadership styles, and there is scientific training. And here, the right side, you see the locations where we reside. And it would be very nice to organize one of our meetings in Den Helder, which is from a dike perspective very interesting because it's surrounded from 3 sides by sea dikes. So within the Polder2C's, and I will keep it short, Patrick, we mainly participated in work package 2, emergency response, and we were involved in 3 main topics, which was breach defender, breach initiation by controlled demolitions, and mobile barriers. And the actual situation in Ukraine is actually we saw there were inundations, dike breaches north of Kiev, inundating the land. That's one of the main defense options also in the Netherlands. And you remember that on the 25th of February, Russian tanks came along Chernobyl, sweeping up radioactive dust. We want to do breach initiation with explosives in the Hedwige-Prosperpolder, and we also have a nuclear site nearby. You see it here. So one of our tasks is also, where we are still developing that, we did a lot of measurements. We are working on that, and it would be very nice to present that at a later time. Now I will concentrate on the breach defender, and I will keep it short. We work already with a lot of bachelor and master students on this topic for about 3 years, and especially with Denny Jansen, who is a PhD student, working with us and with TU Delft. And the breach defender is a concept that is inspired by the figure to the right. This is Hans Brinker. It's an American invention of how the Dutch do their water management. And it has been actually applied in the big floodings of 1953. A big ship was directed into a dike breach and prevented a big disaster in the south of Netherlands, the south of Holland. So we developed all kinds of models for so what does an intervention do when a dike breach, a dike is breaching or on the brink of breaching? And I don't go into this figure in depth, but what you see here is the amount of damage at the vertical axis, and the time is on the horizontal axis. And if you do nothing, you follow the black line. And if you do an intervention at a certain time, nothing may happen. That's a do nothing scenario. That's why if there's no intervention, the intervention may worsen the situation, or it will give you extra time for evacuation, or it may even lead to a permanent repair. So these were the scenarios that we were playing with. And the unique opportunity was that we could play around in the Hedwige-Prosperpolder, but we didn't have real emergency conditions. So we have been building together with partners a kind of pool where we could adjust the water level and bring it to emergency levels. So with the water very close to the top, the crest of the dike. And we could release the water to the Western Scheldt, and we could fill the big pool with huge pumps. And here on the right, you see the breach defender, which is a military pontoon, a part of a bridge that can dive towards an artificial breach, and we could actually measure the performance. So what are the application scenarios of this technique that we are developing, of this innovation? Okay, it's to reduce flow rate, so temporary increased the crest of the dike, and temporary dike stability improvement by putting the structure over, for instance, a hole in the clay layer. I show you here a very little movie. I hope you can see it, of the performance. This was in the beginning of March. Yeah, the pontoon comes, it's pushed by little boats, and one innovation we did, we put a big sail under it. We call it a dijkzeil. And you see, this is the artificial bridge. It's even not sunk, so you can fill it with water, and then it will be sunk onto the the dike, and you see that the amount of water that's coming through is it almost stopped. We did a lot of measurements, and we compared it with a breach model by a PhD from Mr. Visser in 1998. And then you see here in the graph, you see the performance from 2 types of experiments. In the living lab, Hedwige-Prosperpolder, that are the squares, and we did also on a model dike in Vloedproef Holland in Delft. And what you see here is on the right, it's a kind of it's the hydraulic pressure, let's say, and on the left, you see the performance parameter, which is the percentage of water that would flow without intervention that comes through. And you see that you have levels of about below, it's less than 1% of the water that would flow through the breach without BreachDefender. So it's quite successful, and there's even a kind of trend in it. So this is all work in progress. We are making models to predict this and then to understand it better. And then the next step is that the water boards, together with the Ministry of Defense, have to find it important enough to further bring it to the market and to bring it into the regular training programs. So for now, the BreachDefender concept seems to work. There are many, many more interesting results still in the stage of process. Civil military cooperation is important and should be a permanent effort. And which folder is next? And to close, you see here on the right, you see a picture of that was our best day. It was actually on the 25th of February. It was the second day of this terrible war, and we had a big crane in the polder on the dike because we couldn't do breach initiation with explosive before we know the seismic response of the soil in the polder. We use a big crane with a falling weight, and we had all kind of equipment to measure the response. And I want to close off with this little movie from in the polder. You see, it was a beautiful classic crane. This is a huge spherical ball of 2,000 kilograms, and it hits the dike, and we have about 10 seismic detectors, and they measure this transient mechanical wave that passes by. And there's much more to say. It was very, very, very nice to work in this polder, and I hope that quite soon we can blow up this dike to make the world a little bit more climate resilient. I thank you. This was it. Ice, Klaus.
Thank you, Mark and Alexander.
Stop sharing. Yeah.
Yes.